Hi guys, this week I am going to do Alcohol Ink Sunset, a little out of the box, a Sunset Beach cup, and it's my variation. I was going to airbrush this, but my airbrush wasn't working for me, so I don't know why. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. The colors that I have out here is I'm going to use Turquoise, Stonewashed, Purple Twilight, Tangerine, and for the beach, I'm going to try Pinata Brass. I've also got Sunshine Yellow, Seniorita Magenta, and Amethyst. So I'm going to start with some 99% alcohol and the turquoise. I've left the beach for last. The next time I do this, I wouldn't do it that way. But that's what I've chosen to do here. I'm trying to find a happy medium between you watching an hour of me doing the same motion with different colors and speeding up my process so that you can still get some value out of this. And so if my words are a little off kilter from my actions, that's why. So this is the basic water color method, and so I'm going to make my horizon line where the curve of the cup is. This is one of Robin's Pressing Images 20-ounce modern curve cups, and so it's just got this natural curve, and I want my horizon line to be at that break, because a horizon line is a straight line. I'm just working back and forth with the Stonewash and the turquoise and blending them beautifully together to look more like water. And then I'm going to start adding my sunset in here. So this is the Sunshine Yellow from the Ranger, Tim Holtz Sunshine Yellow. And I'm going to put that on, and I'm going to make sure that I don't get too much blending on my edge, or I'm going to get a green edge. And so I'm going to now add the tangerine, and so I'm building a dramatic sunset effect. And so I'm going to blend these better as I go. It's just right now I'm laying out my color, and this isn't actually the orange that I would choose for this next time. I would choose probably a Tim Holtz orange color. This is the Seniorita Magenta. It's one of my favorite pinks. I work with it a lot. So I'm just going to start building wider bands, and I'm just building in my drama. And I'm always dipping into the alcohol before I dip into the ink, just to get some flow and some blendability. Blending solution would probably work well for this as well. So now I'm building in my Purple Twilight and my Amethyst, so I can just end on the really dark purple note and have a super dramatic sky. It's going to be easier for me to blend between the two purples than it is all of the other colors, but I'm just going to work back and forth with just straight the alcohol on the brush. I'm keeping all of my brushes kind of separate and laying them down in the order that I've used them, so I know which one to pick up for my next blend. And I'm just going to go back and forth with the alcohol and the colors and build the colors the way I want them to be. You're always going to get lines between the colors on the inks, because that's just the way inks work. It's not the same as acrylic, where you can get these really nice soft blends using this kind of a method. You can, when you're dabbing it on and doing like a marble effect, you can get really smooth blends, but using this kind of a method, you really can't, because you're going to end up with lines no matter how hard you work it. So just be prepared for that kind of an effect. So you'll see throughout this video I am struggling to keep something on this cup. I don't know what I've used in the past, but obviously it's not what I'm using now. So I'm just going to clean out my line here. I got some purple on here and whatnot, so I'm just cleaning that up with paper towel and alcohol, and then with my turquoise. Now, if you have a metal ball inside your alcohol ink, like the metallics, you have to shake them really well to get them mixed up. Otherwise, the pigment sinks to the bottom and you're just going to get alcohol on the top of them. And so I'm going to add alcohol to my white edge here, and then I'm going to put on the brass, and it's not covering the way that I would want it to, so I would probably not do this step ever again. And you can see I had a run and it ruined all of my hard work with my blending, and now I'm going to have this shimmer in there, so I'm going to have to fix this. And I will tell you that this cup has been kind of the bane of my existence. So I have you can see it looks very different right now. I took a paper towel and some alcohol and I wiped off all of the ink, and you can see that ink stains in some cases. The blues didn't, everything else did. So I've realigned, redone this again, but I just re-put on the beach and the water. And if you've seen my videos before, you know that I always seal my alcohol inks with a layer of Mod Podge. Always do. And so this gold didn't turn out the way I wanted it to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with a light gold that I got from Robin to make it look more beachy. And I've only taken it, like this cup has a seal line on it, so I've just taken the gold to that. So I'm going to brush on Mod Podge just on the area that I want to put glitter on right now. And so I'm going to add this light gold so it's more sandy kind of color. You could use real sand if you wanted to. I've done that before in my cups. And so I'm just touching up the areas that maybe the Mod Podge dried a little bit before I got there. And now I'm going to brush it all off and make sure that I have no glitter where I don't want it to be, and go from there. So I'm just going to brush it all off, and I am using a Teflon brush with my Mod Podge. That's the best brush to use with Mod Podge, and I'm being careful to just come up to the line of the beach because it's still wet. So I'm just brushing. I'm not adding anything to this. I'm just putting Mod Podge over my inks. I will tell you that purple Twilight will turn blue as soon as epoxy hits it. So anybody who says that just dry your epoxy or your alcohol inks for 48 hours, I've done a test. You want a picture, send me an email and I will show you exactly what happens to at least certain colors when you don't seal them. So now I'm going to add a little bit of the ultrafine glitter called Casper into my epoxy. I'm using Speedy Petey, which is amazing, and thankfully that's what I did because of my issues keeping my cup on my turner. It's a really good thing that it dried quick. I didn't have to get up in the middle of the night and hear the thunk of it falling off my turner, because that's what it would have done. And I'm just doing it overall, everything, just a little bit of shimmer and sparkle on this cup, and it was like the perfect color and consistency for this cup. Let me tell you, it was really hard to part with this when I was all done, but I posted it, and a friend of mine who actually I met in Mexico and lives in Minnesota, she right away jumped on and ordered it to take to Mexico. So if I can't go, at least my cup can. So now we're going to make the waves, and again I'm using Speedy Petey. I've mixed up just a little better than 20 mils, and I'm going to put about 10 mils on the cup because you need a little bit of epoxy on it to flow. I am not doing the bottom at this point. I'm just doing the sides because I'm not putting clouds or waves on the bottom of my cup. And so I'm just putting a little bit on. I've even changed how I've got this attached to my turner, and it's still giving me issues. So this particular thing is the DIY epoxy pigment white. What you're looking for is an opaque white. You can use Armor Art from CCD DIY. You can use this pigment paste as I've done, and it actually gave me really nice lacing. And or you can use acrylic paint or alcohol ink, whatever you need to do to get to an opaque white. And I'm just putting wavy lines in very strategic locations in my sky and in my water and along my beach line. So I'm doing it along the horizon line more and along the beach line more, and just a few spots, and leaving good space, because if you see the cup behind it, I got too much on, and when I put the heat to it, it spread too much and overwhelmed my cup. So you don't want too much heat and you don't want too many waves. So I'm just applying heat, and it'll just spread out a little bit and get lacing, and it's turned out just so nice. And you just let it spin, and if you have, I'm using Speedy Petey, so it does work with that, but if you have a like the DIY artisan epoxy or any other long curing epoxy, it takes it'll spread a little bit better. So that's my cup.